Today we speak about the latest functionalities for pipe and tubes in HyDraw CAD. So I will jump to HyDraw CAD later during today's webinar. I'll start with the Library Manager. So you find the data for pipe, hose, and tubes under the connection part. So let me highlight. If you click connection, then we enter in the pipe and tube. So the metric library that you install with the 2021 has no pipe information. You find preloaded tube information divided by material. For instance, you can find stainless steel 14571 or 37.4. These values that you find in the library come from tables. As an example, I can open Parker tubes. So just to show, sorry, this is an Italian catalog, but for regarding data, there is not really much difference. We are able to read. So for instance, if we look at, let me take a pen. If we look at, let's say, 20 by 2, which has an external diameter of 20, a wall thickness of 2 mm, and we store this pressure, and this is 37.4 still. So if we look, we should be able to find this pressure as a design pressure, although, and sorry, it's the lower one, the 185. So if you are familiar with pipe and tubes, with tubes, you will find those values, but feel free to change materials and model data in the table. So here you can sort by model size and look for a particular material, and you will find the pressure. So 249 bar, nominal size, material, internal diameter, outer diameter. So regarding tubes, this is what you find directly in the library. Today we'll try to look more at pipe and hose directly in the library. So let me switch to the pipe, and here we don't have anything, so I'm going to add a couple of pipe. Usually with pipe we intend those oil and gas pipes, which are defined by a norm, which is for instance, this one, ASTM A106. This norm defines schedule number and the size, and there are different grades of material and different sizes, standard sizes. I have a table extracted from this norm, which I'm going to use to populate some information. So usually we identify a schedule number, and in my case I will use the standard XS, extra strong, or double extra strong pipe, but there are other schedule number if you are familiar with pipes. There are different sizes, and each size in the schedule number is defined by internal diameter and outside diameter. And in addition, usually those norms define the yield strength for material, for the grade of the material. So let me see if I can find it somewhere. Yes, here it is. So I will take A106 grade B. So the yield strength is 240 megapascal, which means 2,400 bar. So the working pressure really it depends on how much safety factor you apply. In the pipe, usually we apply this formula called the hoop stress formula, which I remember from my former study in engineering. So basically, in this table, these values are considering a 1.5 safety factor. So if I write this formula and apply that factor, so equal to pressure by diameter divided outside diameter minus this, and I multiply this by the safety factor, then I will find exactly this yield strength. So these values are what I need in my library, because I want to work with a 1.5 safety factor in my case. But you can apply the rated pressure that you need in your library. So let me put this on the left and the library manager on the right, and I just try to add some pipe information in my library. In addition, I want to control the attributes that are linked to my pipe components. So all the attributes are defined in the connector. So in the connector, you find by all the different connection categories, which are divided into pipe, tube, hose. Now I'm concentrating on pipe. I want the pressure, the nominal size, the material, internal diameter, external diameter, wall thickness. I want to add also another property called schedule. And you can add more. Let's say that really this is up to you. Down here we have the display format, and later I'll create a display format particular for my pipe. So by doing this, we control which attributes are available for my pipe in the library. Now I go to my pipe and create a new pipe, and my pressure now is, let's start with the second one, 522 bar. Nominal size is 1/4. The material I'm going to define a new material called ASTM 106 grade B, and later I can create more materials. So this is the material I need. Internal diameter is in my case 9.24. The outer diameter is 13.72. The wall thickness I could calculate. That's not important, and the schedule is standard, and I can save. There are mandatory attributes and other that are not mandatory. Wall thickness is a mandatory attribute in my case, so I will just make a formula minus this one divided by 2. Yes. So this is my wall thickness, and in my case it's 2.24, and save. Now I can add a couple more. So let's go to let me filter by size. Let's take all the 1/4 size, and I go to the extra strong. So my schedule is XS. The pressure is in this case 704 bar, and the internal diameter is in this case 7.68. And this outer diameter is the same. So the characteristic of a pipe is that they are defined by the outer diameter. So the resistance basically adds more wall thickness inside. So what happens is that the internal diameter becomes smaller, so it can accept a lower flow rate. Let me save as. So by doing this, you can populate your pipe information in the library. And now I want to control something else. So I want to be able to view some attributes in my in drawing linked to this pipe and tubes. So I go to the model properties. Well, let me get back here. So as you see, the attributes that are used, I see a question. Is it possible to import from Excel? Not yet. It will come soon, but if you have an Excel list of pipe and tubes, I can support with importing massively in the library. So due to some delay in the release of 2021, we were not able to introduce an import from Excel for pipe and tubes, but we will add later in the development. If you need help with populating data, we can support you. Just get in touch with us, and we will be able to explain how to do quickly directly in the database. Schedule number XS, and I want to map the schedule and the nominal size in my drawing. So I want to see when I use this pipe, I want to be able to view the size and the nominal size and the schedule number in my drawing. So in order to do that, I need to make sure that these attributes are visible. So I go to the model properties, I go to the nominal size and make this attribute available for display format. And also the schedule number should be already available. Yes, I want to save, and schedule number is available for display format. So now I'm going to create a display format for that. So my display format is called pipe size, and is linking now the nominal size with the schedule number. And let's put a prefix of minus in front. So I expect when using when using this pipe to view the nominal size, in my case I put 1/4 minus schedule number, standard, excess, or different schedule number if you need. Let me save it. So now I have made my pipe size, and as you see, I have customized also I have a hose size, and later we'll see how it works. And we have a standard size. This is what you already find in HyDraw Library Manager linked to the standard tube. Now I want to link the pipe size with the connector. So I go to connectors, open my pipe, and down here we see that we have the size. This is not what I need, so I want to delete this display format, and I want to add my pipe size. And I save my pipe. So now I have changed the data structure in my library. I have customized my data set for pipes, and I have created the way to display these attributes in my drawing. Let's see now how it works in HyDraw CAD. And later we jump back to the hose. We do the same for hose. Let me start a new drawing. Although we don't really need symbols to make to test out, but let me just quickly put a small power unit so that I make something that makes sense. And let me take just a check valve, MSR. Anything, I mean, I don't need to do something that makes sense. So now I want to define that there is a pipe going from P to port 1. So I will just make a connection line going from P to port 1. And now for me, this is a pipe. So I want to change the connector. So when we apply information to a pipe, we just take the connection line and go here on the top right. We have a line ID. So when we define a pipe and tubes, if later we want to extract a list of connectors, then we need to specify a line ID. So I'll do that later. Now let me just change the connector. I change it to a pipe. And now I can just select from my library. And now my library is showing here. It's showing the two items that I have selected. There are not many, but for instance, if I say my pressure is 600 bar and the flow is 20 liter per minute or 10 liter per minute, as you see now, HyDraw CAD is suggesting me selecting me the pipe that is matching that design pressure and that flow. And I can click OK. And now all the information are coming directly from the library attached to this connection line. My display setting is switched off, so let me switch it on. And as you see, I am also able to view the 1/4 excess. So in the older version of HyDraw CAD, these texts were not positioned directly on the connection line. We improved a lot the performance here because we are able to just stretch the connection line, and the text will be able to move accordingly and will adapt if according to the position. You can also move the text along the connection line, and it will mask the connection line as you want. There may be scenarios where the connection line is very long and you don't want the text only to be visible on one side of the connection line. So this is configurable, and let me show you where you find that information. So in the options, HyDraw options, we have actually two things that I need to do now. The first is that since I have created in my library manager a display format that was not available, and it's down here in the connection line. Please remember, when you create a new display format, go to the HyDraw options, application setting, display format, and click reset. If you click reset, this will load all the available display format in the drawing. So now the pipe size will always be visible by default for a connection line. So let me do that again, and let me do the other change. In my document setting for the connection line, I'm going to switch on this option. So I want to show the information for the pipe or for the connection line if the length is more than 120 millimeter. So in this case, when I make a new connection line and I want to specify that this is a pipe and it's taking, I take just one size here. This is applying the text on one side, but if my connection line becomes longer than 120 millimeter, then it is applying the same text on both ends, helping the way we can read the diagram. In addition, we can type in the line ID. So let's say that my line is called P1. And as you see now, the ID is combined with my display format for the connection line in one row. We decided this way because normally connection line in a complex diagram are going parallel with not much distance. So we try to put the text along the connection line, overlapping, so that it helps readability when you do that. Now we can make a pipe list, and we have the possibility to configure our pipe list. But let me start making showing the default one. So we go to the System tab, and we use the connector list command. So in the past, with HyDraw CAD 2020 and older, we had only this hose assembly, which was creating a list of hose assembly symbols. Now, if you want to extract information from connection lines, you must run the connector list. Connector list will work if I select all my connector and I want to make a pipe and tube list. Now, as you see, it did not select my the left connection line. We always need to have a line ID. If we want to extract information, we need to specify a line ID from to the connection line. So in this case, I go to the connection line and type my line ID called P3. The text is applied in front of the display format. And now if I make the connector list of this diagram, next. Now, as you can see, I have the possibility to view line ID nominal size from 2. Basically, we are able to take information from where our symbol, our connection line is connected. The right connection has no connection, so we don't populate from 2. But in the left one, we are connecting item 7 port P to item 10 port 1. If you want to switch the direction, because sometimes you make the connection from cylinder to valve or valve to cylinder. If you don't like the way it is displayed here, you just select the row and switch. Each list can be exported to Excel, but now let me just put into the drawing. If you need more information in our connector list, feel free to configure it. And as you see, we go directly to the list and chart. We go to our connector list, pipe and tubes, and maybe we want to add the schedule number. Schedule number maybe with 25 millimeter. Okay. And now next time we make the connector list, all next, insert. And now we have the schedule number, standard and excess. As you have seen, when we do the connector list and we select our diagram, we have two options here. One is the pipe and tube, and the other is the hose. Really, usually there are differences in the way people manage a hose and pipes or tubes. So we combine, if you have a diagram with a mix of pipe and tubes, they will be grouped in the same list. But if you have a mix of pipe and hose, then you will need to create two connector lists. One is the pipe and tube, and the other is the hose. Basically, really, hose, we need more information. So now let's go back to our library manager, and we go back to the connections. I see a question. I will jump back to answer the question later in the drawing. So now I move to hose, and as you see, I don't have any hose. So let me quickly add a hose to the library. I have a catalog for Parker hose. Let me just add a couple of hose. So 787. Let's make a new one. The part number is 787-4. The manufacturer is Parker. Cut length is not mandatory. This will be defined in the drawing directly. The nominal size is 0.4. The internal diameter is 6.3. Outer diameter is 13. Pressure is should be here 350 bar. And we have other information, minimum temperature, maximum temperature, minimum bend duration. This is not mandatory. You can fill in any information that are relevant for your design. We can save. Now let's make also the item 6, that's size 0.6. And in this case, it's 10 and 17.2. 10 internal, 17.2. And we do a save as. And we can do different grades. Let's go to the 797-4, and we have 6.3, 13, but now the pressure is 420, and we do a save as. Of course, having the import from a table would be handy, but really here you can just add daily what you need, and then you will find them available in the drawing environment. Just to get back to data structure, we go to the connectors, hose. As you see in the hose, I have defined something that you will not find in your library. That's a hose size. That's a new display format where I am using. Let me show you how it is configured. Display format. Hose size is reading just the part number. So for this kind of hose, I like just to have the 797-4. That's enough. Then the length will define how long it will be my item. So in this case, my hose size is only identified by the part number, but feel free really to customize as per your need. So let's try it. Let's go back to HyDraw CAD and let's create a new connection line. Going maybe from here to something else in the drawing. And that's not anymore a pipe, that's a hose. And the hose is for 150 bar and to 20 liter per minute flow rate. And we can go and select from the library. So now, as you see, we have the table of available components, and we can just select what is needed. So 20. And it is selecting recommended a size for that pressure. And we can click OK, and we now apply that information. Now that's my hose, 787-6 on both ends, because I am using that configuration for both attributes display on both sides. And of course, I can add a line ID. That's H1, that's my hose, H1. And let me add a component on the other side. Let me copy. And let me rotate it left. We can also put directly a component on top of a connection line. In this case, remember to regenerate the drawing. So type regen, and that will recognize the connection. So now, if we make the connector list for all the diagram, only for the hose, now it will find only the H1. And I don't like, I really need the information for the part number. So let me configuration. And my connector list, the hose list, is now having also the part number, which may be up, line ID, part number, and we make it 40 mm, cut length 40 mm from 2. Okay, and now we do again the connector list for our drawing, just for the hose, and we place it into the drawing. If you need to change the text size, in this case, well, the text size is controlled by HyDraw options. So we have in the text size is controlled here by the display format. So this is the default text size that is applied to the elements in the drawing. In my standard, I always use 2 mm, and I recommend you using 2 mm because readability is good, and we have a new options in HyDraw CAD keeping 4 mm distance between connection lines. So 2 mm of display setting is okay because it keeps easy readability and distance across connection line. If you need to change connection line, to change text height on a drawing, you just can run height. You select the entity that you need, and you can change the property text and make it 3 mm, and that will change the property text. So in this case, it's the ID, is not the property text, it's the ID. Let me do again. Height, we select, and we do all, and make it, yes, make it 4 mm. This will change everything to 4. And at the same time, I can reduce height on a selection, enter. I want to change all and make everything to 1.5 mm. And this is making everything small. Any other question? So this is how you control the text height for items in the drawing. If you don't like the command line interface, there is another setting in HyDraw CAD, which is under the application settings miscellaneous, and it's this. Don't show options on command line. This is usually making it faster, easier to for a user. So I don't know why now in my system it's switched off, but remember, you can remove this option. So if we do the same height on the, then it will be easier because we just say 4, and that will have a different approach. So here you can control what you want to control, the text height for items. So we want only the item property text to 2 mm, and that is changing only the property text, keeping the line ID larger. That's it.